Good afternoon. Mike Hoss along with Kristian Garic and the Cajun Cannon Bobby Hebert. Saints just wrapping up practice and wrapping up the interviews after. Let's talk initially. Certainly rain. They started outside. They get forced inside, but they only had one period left. Could have easily ended practice, but Coach Payton made a point to get those guys inside, maybe make another point, send a message that way as well.
Yeah, sending a message definitely to the offense. I thought the defense were making plays and having a nice practice. And, even though he is the head coach, he is an offensive coach. He really, I'm not saying he doesn't want the defense to win, but it does frustrate him and it ticks him off a little bit when the defense is making plays, and especially if the receivers aren't running precise routes. Right in front of us, he got all over him because you can't take that for granted. If you're trying to get on the same page as the quarterback, that is critical. But one nice play, one long play, and this is what we're hoping for, and this is what you saw, what Jameis said he's able to accomplish. Jameis Winston to Deontay Harris, I consider that a bomb, plus 45-yard touchdown. Now, it was good for the offense, also good for the defense. It wasn't that they beat Marcus Williams or Malcolm Jenkins over the top. It was the backup J.T. Gray. So I look at that, well, he'd only be in there, he had an injury, and obviously special teams ace. But that was a nice play. That was a beautiful ball, great timing, Winston to Deontay Harris. Now, Kane Crawley on the defensive side, great cover two concept, which is not cover two man, but cover two zone, and he's sinking with the wide out until he has influence to come up in the flat and make the tackle. Well, that was just a poorly thrown ball by Taysom. What he needs to do more is he underthrew it, but he couldn't put more air in it because the safety's going to come over the top. You got to influence the safety to stay down the middle, and then even if the cornerback's drifting, he can't be right. But when you don't influence the safety and the cornerback can drift, that's the kind of interceptions you give up. And Kane Crawley coming up with a big one. And I'll tell you what, Kane Crawley, obviously you look at Lattimore number one, but I would say number two, based on his experience and how well he's played. Nothing against Paulson Adebo, a young rookie, but Kane Crawley's in the mix. And then I would say without Lattimore, then you might be looking at Adebo and Crawley. But Crawley's definitely in that mix.
Well, he's a 5-year veteran, played with two teams. There's certainly, as we talked yesterday on the radio, that the DBs would be a bigger focus today with P-Rob, and people would watch Grant Haley and Bryce Thompson more, and Ken Crawley. That secondary is just going to get a lot of attention.
It is, and if you're an undrafted guy like a Bryce Thompson, you got a great opportunity to make this team, and in particular with Patrick Robinson retiring and some of the hits that they've had in that secondary. Look, I think what we're seeing, though, and I don't mean to shift gears on you, but I think we're seeing a lot of things that number 9 used to be able to cover up. We're getting a really good look at that just by spacing, alignment, timing. This is such a precision offense, and when it's not mastered, because Taysom and Jameis haven't mastered it, I don't blame them. They've only been in it for a short period of time, but I think we're getting a really good witness of what number 9 could really cover up because of his mastery in this offense. And Ken Crawley, going back to him, I think he's the number 2 right now opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. If you had to play a game today and you asked me, he would be my second cornerback.
And the other thing, you talk about mastering the offense, people don't realize this. They blame the offensive line. They're not protecting the quarterback. Drew Brees covers a lot of mistakes. And when the offensive line, you might think, well, Drew Brees don't have the mobility of Taysom Hill, obviously, or Jameis Winston, but he would be sacked not as many times. Well, just getting rid of the ball and just helping your O-line out.
And quickly, and finally, that's why these next 3 games are, because it's live. It's real action. It's live speed. It's hard to create that at practice. If you want to if Jameis and Taysom want to get to that point, they need that live speed action.
Yeah, and there's a good degree, and Bobby will tell you this too, in training camp where, if you're going against your own guys, you start to pick up your own tells. There's some giveaways. Whistles. There's some giveaways that you can tell, and you kind of cheat a little bit. But you can't do that in preseason games, otherwise you're going to get burnt. So those 3 games are hugely important for these quarterbacks, but also a lot of these guys on this roster. This is a thin roster right now with a lot of jobs up for grabs.
All right. One more practice really tomorrow, probably a walkthrough on Friday, then they'll fly to Baltimore. Lots more coming today, 4 to 8 on Sports Talk with Kristian Garic, Bobby Hebert, Mike Hoss, as well as Mike Metairie. Join us then.
Who that?